At every birthday party or holiday gathering, I would see the women in my family sipping on or spooning from an advocaatje, a small glass of thick, golden, alcoholic drink with a dollop of whipped cream on top. I remember sneaking a taste as a kid. The whipped cream? I love that. The advocaat? Well, let's just say my taste buds weren't quite ready for that flavor yet. Join me in my first recipe for a Dutch cocktail. Hi, I'm Toine and welcome to my kitchen. If you're new to this channel, I focus on cooking foods from my home country, the Netherlands, and some of its former colonies such as Indonesia. Now this drink is called advocaat, which is the Dutch word for lawyer. Growing up, I never really questioned why, but in prepping for this video, I dug into some history and found two stories. The first one is tied to the 17th century West India Company. Sailors exploring the Caribbean islands discovered a drink made from avocados and rum. But when they brought the idea home, avocados were just too expensive, so they used egg yolks instead. Over time, avocado evolved into advocaat. The second story is a bit simpler. Lawyers, or advocaten, were said to drink advocaat to soothe their throats before speaking in court. Whichever story you prefer, advocaat as we know it today was created in 1825 by a man named J.G. Kooijmans in the Dutch city of 's-Hertogenbosch. To make advocaat, you will need 160 grams of egg yolks, 160 grams of sugar, 200 milliliters of brandewijn, Dutch brandy. I couldn't find Dutch brandy here, so I just have whatever brandy I could find at the liquor store, 1 vanilla bean, and a pinch of salt. I'm going to start by cracking and separating the eggs. I like to use the shell method of kind of making the yolk go between the two different parts of the shell until you just have yolk. It's okay if they break, they're going to get beat up and mixed with sugar. That is 20 grams, so I'll need at least 8 eggs. Not every yolk weighs exactly the same, we're at 39 grams. I'm just going to keep going. I've cracked 9 eggs and it's 175 grams, so I have to take some of the yolk out. 162. Take a little bit more out. Okay, 160. So I'll be making a mostly egg white omelette out of this since I've added some yolks. If you have been able to separate without getting any yolks in here, this is great to make meringues with. Going to rearrange things on my counter and I'll be back to continue the recipe. You're going to need a stainless steel bowl to make the advocaat in. So we're going to start by dumping all the egg yolks in there. The sugar. Just going to give that a quick whisk. And now I'm going to split the vanilla bean. If you've never done this, when you buy a whole vanilla bean, it should be pretty pliable. That shows you it's fresh. And with the tip of your paring knife, we're going to cut down the center of the bean all the way down. And then you lay it flat, and with the back of your knife over the cut side, you're going to pull the bean back. And those are the vanilla seeds, and we're going to add those to the eggs and the sugar. Do the same thing on the others with the other half. Normally, when I make something with vanilla beans and I don't use this, you can put this in sugar to make some vanilla sugar. But for this recipe, I'm going to cut it in smaller pieces and put it in here as well. So I get as much of the vanilla flavor into my advocaat. Pinch of salt. Going to whisk that together again. You can see all the vanilla beans in here, like little black specks. Now it's time for the next phase. I'm going to get my burner out, get everything ready, because you want to be fully prepared before you move on. So what kind of hardware do you need to make advocaat? First, a bowl with ice water in it, a pot with some water simmering, of course your stainless steel bowl with a whisk with your egg and sugar mixture in there, an instant read thermometer. I'll put a link to this particular one in the description below, and the last ingredient, brandy. Now I like to kind of drape a theedoek, tea towel, over my pot for a couple of reasons. The first reason is it prevents my bowl from sinking in too far. So now it's for sure not hitting the water. You don't want the bottom of the bowl to hit the water. It also prevents the bowl from spinning around. So we don't need to whisk for air. You want to continuously stir to prevent the eggs from cooking, but we do want to heat it to 62 degrees Celsius, 144 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, this is mixed in pretty well. So now I'm going to mix and pour in the brandy. I bought a bottle that is exactly 200 milliliters, so nothing left for me to drink after making this recipe. And just keep the mixture in constant motion. No need to violently whisk. Okay. Smell that brandy. So we're going to open the thermometer. I should probably do it with my right hand and whisk with my left. And let's see where we're at. We're only at 27 degrees Celsius, so we have a ways to go. If you've seen previous videos, you know that typically this thermometer is in Fahrenheit. For this recipe, I have changed it to Celsius. And we're at 32 degrees. Just keep it moving. We're at 55 degrees, so we're getting pretty close. I'm actually turning the heater down a little bit, or the cooktop down a little bit. You'll notice that it starts thickening when you get to this temperature. When you take the temperature, make sure you don't hit the bottom of the pot, of the bowl. 58, we're almost there. 61, 62. Okay. So now I'm going to take this bowl and dump it in the ice bath right away. And we're going to keep stirring it to cool it off completely. So one of the reasons why we use a metal bowl and not a glass bowl for making this double boiler is if you move glass from hot steam to ice water, it may crack. The metal bowl also conducts the heat from the steam better and the cold from the ice cubes, so it will actually cool off the eggs faster this way. If you don't have a metal bowl, you can do it in a glass bowl, but just make sure that it's thick glass and not thin, because you don't want it to crack when you put it in the ice bath. When you go to Google Translate, advocaat, the drink, will probably translate into eggnog. This isn't exactly the same. Eggnog typically uses whole eggs, the white and the yolk, and it typically has some dairy added as well. And this is just very simple, very straightforward. The egg mixture, or the advocaat, has cooled down to 17 degrees Celsius. Pretty cool already. I'm gonna just keep going for a little bit longer, and then we're gonna put it in the bottle. I have a 500 milliliter measuring cup with a fine mesh strainer on top of it. I'm going to just dry off the bottom to not get any of the water in here. And we're gonna pour it through the strainer. The reason we're straining it is to get any of the pieces of vanilla bean and any of the fibers out, as well as any cooked egg yolks, because it's nearly impossible to not cook some of the egg yolk. And all right, let's see if I can get the rest of this out. All right, it is 400 milliliters. I have a bottle that holds half a liter and my strained advocaat, and we're going to pour it in here. I'm holding the spatula underneath the spout to prevent it from kind of dribbling down the edge of the measuring cup. And this should make less of a mess. Okay. Close it off, make sure it's airtight. And now this goes into the fridge for at least an hour. All right, let's see how our homemade advocaat turned out. I'm going to pour a little bit into this small glass. Nice and thick. Now there was a brand of advocaat in the Netherlands where in its TV commercial all it showed was just pouring the advocaat out of the bottle into a glass and then the caption lekker langzaam, which translates to deliciously slow. And that is how it should pour out. Now just like my mom and my grandma, we're gonna add some whipped cream on top, make a little bit of a mess. Looks like an advocaat like I remember. Proost! Very rich from the egg yolks. Nice and sweet. The whipped cream on top just adds an extra dimension to me. I love that little sweetness of the whipped cream even on top of it. But there is a burn from that brandy. But yeah, this is exactly how I remember it. Now before I finish it, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like and subscribe button and don't forget to share it with your friends. If you have any questions about the recipe or you have memories of yourself or your family members drinking or eating advocaat, please leave them in the comments below. I'll post a written recipe on my website, toineskitchen.com, in both imperial and metric measurements, and you can find me on social media as well. If you make my recipe of advocaat, I would love it if you can post a photo on Instagram with the hashtag ToinesKitchen. I'll share it in my story and on my website. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.